Go on, please.
Okay, so I'm looking at Israel Gaza war. I know that's not allowed on the right, but there are some people who have some concerns about what is happening over there on the right, and I'm one of them. And so two reports came out in the last couple of weeks. One in the Lancet. I'm going to read from it for you. Lancet is probably left wing, but
The Lancet,
yeah,
the medical journal.
yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's more authoritarian. I don't know if it's left wing, but yeah, okay.
okay. Well, I'm going to read from it. The total death toll is expected to be large given the intensity of this conflict. Destroyed healthcare infrastructure, severe shortages of food, water, and shelter, the population's inability to flee to safe places, and the loss of funding for humanitarian purposes. In recent conflicts, such indirect deaths, so like people dying from starvation and things like that, range from 3 to 15 times the number of direct deaths. Applying a conservative estimate of 4 indirect deaths to 1 direct death in the Gaza, it is estimated that 186,000 people may have died. So that's
186,000 people, just people on both sides, Palestinians.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that came out, which is that's 7 to 9% of the population of Gaza, which is just horrendous. Regardless of what Hamas did on October 7th, which was also horrendous, killing 186,000 people isn't going to bring those people back, and it's not just. The second thing that came out in the last week was the Haaretz report on the Hannibal Directive, where they are confirming that on October 7th, the Israeli military gave direction to the soldiers of the Hannibal Directive. The Hannibal Directive, as described by one of the IDF soldiers, is you will open fire without constraints in order to prevent an abduction. In addition to firing at the abductors, soldiers can fire at junctions, roads, highways, and other pathways. Opponents may take a kidnapped soldier. So what they're saying is at least some percentage of the people who died on October 7th died as a result of IDF firing to prevent abductions.
It seems like a weird directive. You can just fire indiscriminately. Doesn't matter what's happening. If someone might be getting kidnapped, you just open fire. And maybe they're thinking about that in the situation of like you're among a bunch of Palestinians and you're firing into a group of Palestinians and they're trying to kidnap an Israeli. And that's what they're thinking about. I mean, I don't know. That's the only logical way I could think about that making sense in the mind of an Israeli government. But that's wild that they would have that, hey, some Israelis are getting kidnapped, just start opening fire into the crowd. Charles?
It's crazy.
I don't know. I can kind of see. I don't want to say I can see the logic because that's not how I want this to come out. But I can see how if you're being invaded and you're telling people to fight back, how do you differentiate between who is an enemy combatant in that split second of a moment and who is not? And if
feel like you would let as opposed to kill, like if you're going to kill. If you're at a significant risk of killing like 4 innocent people in exchange for stopping this one person from getting kidnapped, I don't want the person to get kidnapped, but is that like a good trade-off?
Right. No, not at all. I guess I'm thinking of it as like if I'm at a festival or something and like people all come in and people are just getting kidnapped and you start shooting to try, like, you know what I'm saying? Like how in these situations in which there is a lot going on, you often hear that innocent civilians get shot because people are shooting indiscriminately. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, and it's hard for me. It has consistently been hard for me to opine. So Israel killed their own people. Believe what you want. Did the Israelis celebrate in the streets too, like the Gazans did? Good question, Michael.
No. It's not an equivalence. As soon as nobody's making a comparison here. What we're saying is that Israel has done things that are wrong too. I'm not saying forgiving Hamas for what they did. That was horrific. But sure. your reaction to it, much like we experienced in the wake of 9/11, has consequences. And sometimes you're going to overreact to things that happen from an emotional standpoint that have really devastating and unjust consequences for your actions. I'm not in the position to decide, but what I can say with a lot of confidence is if 186,000 people are dead in Gaza as a result of a terrorist group that's a major problem. As a result of the actions of a terrorist group, that's a major problem.
No, I hear you there. And I've always struggled with this, and it's kind of the same struggle with 9/11, where it's like, in the moment, in hindsight, having looked at the response to 9/11, and I'm not talking about the war response, I'm talking about the stuff that we did domestically, it was way outside of what we should have been doing in response to that. But I also then think that in those moments, people make decisions. Some people take advantage, and then others make decisions with the best information that they have available. And a lot of times in hindsight, those decisions turn out to be horrible. And so I just always struggle on coming down on one side or the other, because I don't ever want to have to be in a position where I need to make those decisions. And I don't know what I would do if I was in that position to make those decisions.
Yeah, me neither. I just want less people to die.
Same.
I think that should be the objective. And it's, to give Dane some credit here, like Hamas is wanting people to die too, so that they can make people like me upset about how many people are dying. So there's no good actors in this scenario, but I think a little bit more measured or a more strategic and kind of sniper approach would be better for the long run than just killing so many people, destroying all the infrastructure. It's just a bad situation that needs to come to an end. And I don't think the current strategy of taking out every Hamas and who cares how many Palestinian civilians die is a good one. Not for Israel, not for the United States, not for Palestinians.